Welcome to Let's Talk Pets with your host, Linda Weston, right here on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub.
Good Saturday morning, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Pets, a fun program. Very happy to be part of the fabulous Hub family lineup of programs. I'm Linda Weston, your host from Friends of Cookeville-Putnam County Animals, a nonprofit, totally volunteer support group for the Cookeville-Putnam County Animal Shelter. This morning, my co-host, Sarah Hollick-Webb from Friends of Cookeville-Putnam County Animals, is with me here in the studio, and we have with us today a very fun guest, that being Dr. Mary Pashley, a Tennessee Tech business professor, a most talented singer and actress, and bird enthusiast. So since we just had a great show about the bees last week, we thought it was only fair to give equal opportunity time to the birds of our life. So we're going to talk about some birds this week. But Sarah, before we get started, let's just take a minute and thank our sponsors who make this show possible.
We are grateful to Pet Supplies Plus, located in the Walmart Shopping Center.
And Copeland Veterinary Hospital on 10th Street with 24-hour emergency service.
And Cumberland Pet Essentials, offering pet grooming, styling, and a spa, holistic foods, nutritional counseling, and a pet boutique at 142 South Willow in the Willow Tree Plaza.
And Friends of Cookeville-Putnam County Animals. So many thanks to each of these groups. Now we get to say good morning, Mary. So glad to have you back with us. It's been a long time since we had a chance to talk to you about the birds.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Linda. Thank you for inviting me to come.
Let's start by just talking about having birds in general. Are they what you would call easy pets, or are some birds easier than others? Or
that's an excellent question. I think the simpler experiences people have with birds as pets are when they have smaller birds as pets.
Okay.
So if someone is looking for a starter bird, a beginner bird, think small.
Okay.
So budgies, cockatiels, very small conures, like little green cheek conures. If you don't want to interact a lot with the bird, then you might choose to have a finch or two. They're very entertaining and pretty little birds, but not geared so much to stepping up on people's fingers and
talking to you.
Right, or cuddling or any of the other behaviors that you might want. So think small if you want it to be simple. The bigger the bird gets, the more complicated the situation becomes, and the more fascinating, but it is more of a challenge.
Sarah, a friend of ours told me the other day, she was in the grocery store and there was a lady actually with a bird on her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so often we get caught up on this show talking about cats and dogs because we know cats and dogs are so popular among pet ownership. But in 2022, the National Pet Owner Survey said that 70% of households have a pet, which equates to 90.5 million households in the U.S. But 9.9, so almost 10 million of those households, have birds as a pet.
There you go.
So clearly this is a growing trend and something that's been happening for a while now.
Well, birds can make wonderful pets, and we have had several pets over the years that have been birds. Right now we have 4. We have Lindley, who is a lilac crown Amazon. He's about 29 years old.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, that's another thing to keep in mind is if you do become a pet parent,
Yes.
then sometimes you have to be prepared, to have almost a lifetime commitment to the bird. The bigger the bird, the longer the expected lifespan is kind of the way that works. We also have a small cockatoo, Sam. He's a Goffin's cockatoo. He's about 28. And we have a little cockatiel right now named Rocky, who's about 19, which is getting to be very elderly for a cockatiel. But he seems to be doing well still. And then we have a blue-fronted Amazon that we call Sweetie Blueface. And right now, Sweetie, we just found out that Sweetie is a girl. We didn't know that. And Sweetie is about 33 years old, so she's the elder stateswoman, if you will, of our bird flock at this point. But over the years, we have been parrot parents for 30 years or so, and there have been a total of 15 different birds that have come into our lives over the years, and our flock size has ranged from just having one bird up to 8. That was the maximum. That's getting pretty big. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for most people, but
Not for the faint-hearted here.
no. Well, birds tend to come to us. We have done very little in the way of purchasing parrots. People find out that we have parrots and we love them, and we receive contacts from different people about birds that they know that need to be rehomed, and actually most of the birds that have been in our flock, that's how they've come to us.
Really?
Yes.
So your birds that are 33 and 29 and all these other, have you been the only owner of these birds, or
No,
you inherited them?
no. They've had at least one owner prior to coming to us. Most of our birds have had at least one owner prior to coming to us. Sweetie Blueface, the bird that's 33. Well, the owner just before us called this bird E.T., and I wanted something a little warmer sounding. I mean, that's a cute name and everything, but so Sweetie, it has the same sort of
sound.
tonality in it, so the bird would recognize that she, I have to get used to calling her she, was being spoken to. But we're the third owner, the third family for Sweetie Blueface, just as an example.
So when we were talking to Annie Gooch last week, who's a master beekeeper, one of the things that sort of surprised me in a way was that she was talking about the personality of bees and things like that, because as Sarah was saying, we deal so much with cats and dogs, so we're always talking about their personalities, not thinking that the birds and the bees have personalities.
Oh, and they do.
So you can tell that with your different birds.
Oh, absolutely. Our cockatoo is very, very grumpy. If the lights don't go out at exactly the right time for the birds to go to sleep, and he'll let us know that. I'm making quite a lot of noise. The birds have different preferences as far as food is concerned. Cheerios are kind of a good little treat that's a human food that's really okay for birds in moderate quantities, not the plain kind, not added sugar, no added salt, low fat. And I have two birds that love them, and the other two can't stand them. They act like I'm handing them something that shouldn't be even considered for consumption, and they just will push it out of my hand, so that you have differences like that, and they will have different preferences for other birds, or they'll dislike other birds. And as far as humans are concerned, some of our birds are very bonded to me. Sweetie Blueface in particular is very bonded to me. And then over the years, there have been birds that we've had that have been very bonded to my husband, EJ, and really didn't care a whit about me. So you see that. And some of them like to play games. Like we had a little toy that was a wheel that had bells in it, and there was one bird that liked to play catch with my husband with this little wheelie toy, and she would get really intense about it. So we called it the evil wheelie toy, because she would just get so intense about it. Yeah, just different things. And one of them likes to dance on his perch. There's another one that likes to take things apart. I call him the little engineer. That's the cockatoo. So, and if I forget to close his cage door appropriately, we call them houses rather than cages, by the way. They each have their own house, and that's a good idea. It's good. It's good if you're going to keep them in your home to do that, because then they have their own safe space, their own little territory, and you don't have to worry about any possibility of birds fighting or birds overly bonding and having absolutely no interest in humans. But you do want to keep them where they can see each other, because they're flock animals and they would get lonely otherwise. But if I don't keep the Goffin's cockatoo Sam appropriately secured in his house, he can get out of it in about 30 seconds. And one thing he likes to do is to climb over Lindley, the lilac-crowned Amazon's cage, and he just kind of skips over Lindley for some reason, and he'll go to where the cockatiel Rocky is, and he'll open the door and let Rocky out. And Sam usually goes back to his house, and I'll find him inside in his perch with the door open. He's fine.
I don't know how the other one got out.
Yeah, Mom, I don't know.
But I happened to come in one day and saw him do it. So I know that's exactly what's happened. And the problem with Rocky is that he's a much smaller bird, and sometimes he will go and hide somewhere. And this is a pretty large room, where the birds are, and I have to try to find him. And sometimes I'm just, oh no, where is he? A bit of a stress.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
Right. So there's just different behaviors that they have and different preferences that they have. Birds have a lot of personality.
Do any of yours talk?
Right now, Sweetie Blueface is the only talker that we have, and the common wisdom is that it's usually male birds that are better talkers. But like I said, we just found out that she's female, but she says different things. She says hi and hello in a lot of different ways. She says, "What are you doing?" And another thing, and most of these things she learned before she came to us. She also will say, "Uh-oh. You know, it accelerates and crescendos. So you can tell she's. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't mess up the sound with that.
You're fine. It was very lifelike.
And then one thing that surprised me the most was you mentioned I like to sing, and so sometimes I'm practicing music, and the piano is in the same area where the birds are, and I'll be plunking out notes and trying to sing something, and she has this saying, and it's only when music is being sung or when it's being played, and she says, "Help me help you."
Oh my gosh!
What was that movie? It was the sports agent,
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. You know, so but it's only when music is being put forth somehow. And the first time she did it, I thought, "Gosh, I must be really bad."
A not subtle message here.
But I've heard her do it when we've been watching television and someone who is very famous is singing on TV. So I think it's just sort of a response that happens to music for some reason. At least I hope so.
I have a friend whose bird was able to mimic her answering machine, and the bird would say, "Hi, I'm so and so, so and so. I'm not home, but you can call me back." And the bird even did beep at the end.
I can see that happening.
Yeah,
I can see that happening. Our little cockatiel doesn't say words, but does whistle amazingly well. He can whistle the Andy Griffith tune, you know, the whistle, exactly that one. And sometimes he'll come out with sounds that sound like sirens, you know, different kinds of like police siren sounds, and just
very entertaining at your house.
Well, yeah, they really aren't that noisy overall, but that is another thing that people should keep in mind if they have a bird or more than one bird as a pet, is that they can be. Okay. And some kinds are noted for being more noisy than others. Right. Often that goes with better talking ability, you know, so there's a bit of a trade-off. Okay. So the Amazons that we have are not considered to be two of the best kinds of Amazons for talking ability, but like I said, we do have one that does, and the other one doesn't talk at all. But he laughs and makes little kissy sounds and does other things, you know, other kinds of vocalized things. Yeah.
Well, we need to talk about all kinds of things about, you know, how you get started, where you would find. Now, people give you birds, but if somebody wanted a bird, we need to talk about that. We need to talk about the equipment that you might need, food supplies that you might need,
yes,
and veterinary care and all that. But let's just take a quick break here, and when we come back, we'll get into all of that. So, folks, don't go away, because we will be right back with more Let's Talk Pets on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub.
Copeland Veterinary Hospital is a full-service veterinary hospital, including 24-hour emergency assistance, and is located at 821 East 10th Street in Cookeville, focusing on providing the highest quality care to clients and patients through our devotion to client communication, commitment to excellent medical care, and use of innovative diagnostics. Founded in 1970, our veterinarians and support staff can provide a progressive, beneficial, and effective impact on your pet's health. Open Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon, and closed on Sunday.
Pet Supplies Plus, located in the Walmart Shopping Center on South Jefferson, is open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily, specializing in pet foods, treats, and edible chews, pet toys, and apparel, pet supplies of all kinds, grooming and health, as well as flea and tick items, offering all major brands and a large selection of natural foods and treats made in the USA. Fish, reptiles, ferrets, and other very small pets available.
Cumberland Pet Essentials has been serving Middle Tennessee since 1989, offering dog and cat grooming and styling. In their natural pet market, they sell dog and cat supplies, accessories, and high-quality trusted brands of food and treats. Owner Karen Rataco is an ISCC certified pet stylist and a certified pet nutritionist. She offers free nutritional counseling, helping owners make healthier choices for their pets. Their store hours are Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5 p.m., located at 142 South Willow Avenue in the Willow Tree Plaza. Give them a call, 931-528-7711, Cumberland Pet Essentials.
Welcome to Let's Talk Pets with your host, Linda Weston, right here on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Pets with me, your host, Linda Weston, and Cookeville, Putnam County Animals Vice President Sarah Hollick-Webb on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub. So Sarah and I have been talking today with Dr. Mary Pashley, multi-talented in the arts and esteemed TTU business professor, and of course, bird owner and enthusiast. So, Mary, we're just into this talking about the types of birds and all this. And Sarah, you had a question, I think, about this.
Yeah. So since I have a very multi-pet household,
Yes,
one of my questions is always going to be, how do they deal with other animals? Is that even a wise course to go down as far as having other house pets like dogs and cats? Or
Well, I think you have to be very careful about putting two-footed with wings with four-footed pets. Now, if they're raised together, then it's much more likely that you will have an event-free, happy kind of household. It is true that, four-footed pets, even though we love them and they're dear and they're sweet, they do have kind of a predator aspect to their personality that's natural. It's, generally very subtle for house pets, but they might actually view a bird as something that is to be pursued, right? And as a toy, or maybe even for a more serious purpose. And you can't really blame the four-footed creatures, for having these instincts from time to time.
As we know that our dogs will sometimes chase squirrels across the yard. Right. This seems nothing like but a game, and like you said, using all their instincts for prey drive.
Exactly. They don't necessarily mean anything harmful or negative by that behavior, but sometimes it can result in unhappy occurrences as far as injury to a bird. So you just have to be very careful. If you are going to put a bird in your household and you have four-legged creatures and they haven't been raised together so that they've been able to get used to each other, it's probably better to have the bird secured in a separate part of your home, and that's just kind of off limits to the four-legged pets.
Yeah,
just to be safe.
Sense.
Just to be safe.
Well, on kind of on the same note, what about children? I mean, is there a certain age that perhaps that children should be introduced to birds? Is this even a good combination?
Well, I think it can be, and I think it really depends upon the child. The child needs to be past the stage where they kind of want to squeeze everything and put everything in their mouths. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. They just need to be past that age, and it depends upon the child.
And not putting their fingers in the cage.
Right. They need to not be poking because that might invite a little nip from the bird or something. And birds have very fragile bones, so the child needs to know that the bird should be handled gently, and there's a certain level of responsibility maybe that's a little bit higher than it would be with a typical four-legged pet in the home.
Well, what about the person who's listening, who's at home listening to this and thinks, I always wanted a bird, and I just am not sure how do you get started? I mean, I know the birds find you, but
that's most birds that we've had in our lives, and there've been 15 total. We have 4 now, but we've had 15 total over the years. Most of them have found us because people knew that we liked birds. If you are trying to reach out and find a bird, definitely want to encourage adopt, don't shop. That's the typical way to try to approach it.
As cats and dogs, right?
Yeah, that's I think just the best way to go about it, because there are a lot of birds that do need to be rehomed out there. There are many rescue organizations around the country.
Okay.
And in Tennessee, if you want to get an idea about what the bird rescue groups are in Tennessee, just Google Tennessee bird rescue groups.
Okay.
And one of the first things that'll pop up is a bird rescue group directory. So you can look at that. There is a sanctuary that also does some adoptions in the Nashville area. That's the Exotic Avian Sanctuary of Tennessee, or EAST, EAST, obviously for short.
Okay.
They're a 501c3 nonprofit, and they provide a sanctuary for birds that really can't be rehomed for one reason or another, but they also work to facilitate adoptions of birds.
Okay.
The birds that come to them see their veterinarian. They have a specialist that works with them all the time, and if there are any health issues, then they work to resolve those health issues before a bird would be considered appropriate as possibly an adoptive pet. They also vet people who want to adopt very carefully, which is another very good thing about the way that they go about it. So there's an application form that you can access through their website, and then they would talk with you, and they'd want to know what your situation was. They'd probably even want to see what your home situation would be like for the bird, actually come and visit. And they would encourage you to have multiple visits with the bird that is potentially your avian companion. So they really do a good job of that.
That's great. One
One thing that you must be very, very careful about is purchase scams. And I think this is the case really with any kind of pet. And it can happen with birds. So if there's a situation, like if you put something on Facebook and you say, I'm interested in having a bird come live with me, and you get unsolicited comments, and they start talking. Well, it doesn't even have to be foreign countries, but if they start talking about price and how they will ship the bird to you, and if you start to talk to them about, well, I'd like to meet the bird first, or I'd like to come pick up the bird, no, that's not how we do it.
Right.
Then don't deal with them. Don't deal with them at all. Yeah, try the rescues. That's the best way to go.
Yeah, we've had great luck with EAST that Mary was just talking about. They've came and picked up birds from the animal shelter. We've had African greys and a budgie and some others that, of course, the animal shelter is no place for a bird because it's a very high stress environment. It's very loud.
Four-footed.
It's very four-footed.
This is not where they need to be. So, nor do we have the skills to take care of them. So the sanctuary did come pick up some birds for us so that they could rehome them and get them in good health.
Oh, so you have experience with them
We have.
already. Oh, that's great.
So it's been wonderful and positive, and we're just so thankful that there are rescues like that in our area that that reach out and help everyone.
Absolutely. Well, let's say that somebody actually goes through the process and falls in love with a bird, and it's going to come home. What kind of equipment or housing do they need?
Well, as I said before, I think each bird should have its own separate house.
Yes.
And the cages need to be big enough so that the birds could fully extend their wings and flap them freely. So one problem that people have is sometimes they will get a cage that is too small for a bird that they're bringing home, and there's not enough possibility for the bird to move around and exercise within the cage. Sure. Even beyond that, you want to be able to have a bird out for an hour or two a day for human interaction and for exercise outside of the cage too, but they need to be able to move freely in the cage. Food. The birds should have a diet that's probably 75 to 80% balanced pellet type diet. So it has very good nutritional components in it. The remaining portion of the bird's diet should be primarily fruits and veggies. So the red, orange, yellow kinds of vegetables and fruits are considered ideal for the most part. It's good if they have a kind of a solid texture for the bird to kind of crunch through. Avocados are a big no-no.
Is that right?
Yeah, avocados can potentially be toxic to birds, so you don't want to consider that. Now, most people think, birds, we're going to feed them seeds. Well, seeds and nuts should be a very small portion of a bird's diet, really more like a treat. Think of them like candy would be, for a child. They're very high in fat, and in terms of nutritional components, vitamins, etc., they tend to be pretty low in those things. So you don't, if you have a bird that's on a seed diet, you want to try to work with that bird and get that bird off the seed diet onto a pelleted that was supplemented with veggie and fruit diet. It may take a while. You got to be patient. Some birds you can never get them to switch, but if you possibly can, it's much, much better for the bird's health.
So you just cut out fruits and vegetables and
but you put them in a separate little food container. You don't put it in with the pellets. You have to put them in and of course they have to be whatever the bird doesn't eat has to be removed quickly. The water should be changed every day, and you have to clean out the bottom of the bird's cage and change paper daily if at all possible, and that sort of thing. And any sort of fruit that isn't eaten within a day should be removed and replaced.
I think you're giving folks really a very good picture of what it takes to really, it's what it takes to be a pet owner of any kind of pet, really.
Yeah.
It's a daily caring,
and
feeding, watering thing.
And we encourage everyone, do your homework. Do lots and lots and lots of research.
Absolutely.
Every bird is different. I'm sure that some of the reasons that birds have found you and made it into your home is because people either weren't maybe prepared to care for a pet that has this kind of lifespan and this kind of needs, or maybe even the bird outlived the previous owner.
Sure.
Yes, but both of those things have happened, or all of those things have happened. And the bigger the bird, the longer the expected lifespan. That's important too. So when you're first getting started, I suggested think small. Also, the time lifespan commitment won't be as extensive. For example, a budgie, typical lifespan is 5 to 8 years. We just had one that passed away from our flock a couple of months ago, and he was 15.
Oh, wow.
So that was actually a long lifespan for that little guy. But of course, it broke my heart when he did cross the Rainbow Bridge. But then the larger birds, like the cockatoos and the larger Amazons, macaws, they can live up to 50, 60, sometimes more years than that. So it can truly be a lifetime commitment. And if people have a large bird like that, it's a good idea to have something in your will about where that bird will go. Who is going to be the guardian for that bird after you're no longer on this planet. And people don't often think about that.
Exactly.
So.
Well, can you speak a little bit just about veterinary care?
Yes.
Veterinarian that's
yes.
particularly
The vet that sees our birds is here in Cookeville, and the name of the practice is, let me find it. Yes, Best Friends Veterinary Hospital. It's the practice is on South Jefferson Avenue, 650 South Jefferson Avenue, and the vet there that sees exotic animals, which would include birds, parrots, reptiles, amphibians, etc., is Dr. Courtney Madewell, and she's a wonderful person. You may know about her. Yes, you've had her on the show, so you've already met her. Yes. I recommend her very highly for avian medicine in particular.
Well, we just like her. Period.
That's it.
She's just good with cats and dogs and everybody.
She is. She has great ability and a great heart. I think.
In a great way with the pets.
She does.
That's nice. Well, the sun is out, and we've had so much great sunny weather now. It's so nice to hear the birds singing again.
That it is.
Yeah. Well, Mary, thank you so much for being with us. I think I've learned a lot. I think our
yes, I
listeners will
have certainly.
Too. For those of you that are interested in maybe starting out with a bird, follow her advice and contact some of those rescue groups, because I think that's wonderful. It's a win-win for everybody. So, thank you, Mary, for being with us.
Thank you so much, Linda, for inviting me to do this. It's been a pleasure.
Always welcome. we have just one short little thing to talk about. It's our adoption event that's going
Yeah,
on.
we can't do a show without talking a little bit about the animal shelter here locally. So right now we have a 40 over 40 adoption event going on. So that simply means the adoption fee is $40 for all of our dogs over 40 pounds. We have an abundance of big guys right now that are a lot of fun to have, especially with the fun weather that we've got coming up. So that's going on now through the 30th. And just keep in mind that, of course, any animal adopted through the animal shelter is, of course, fully vetted, spayed or neutered, and microchipped.
Yes,
And they are ready to go home.
$40.
Yep.
You will not beat that. I was over there, it was yesterday, and there are some wonderful dogs. There is the cutest big dog. His name's Titan. Huge, big black and white dog. Cutest, friendliest dog. A stray. I mean, how that happens, I'll never know, because this dog is adorable. Anyway, lots of great dogs. So do stop by the shelter this week. That is our show for today. Thank you again, Mary, for being with us, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you have questions or comments, please do email them to us at putnamcountypets@gmail.com. Wishing everyone a perfect weekend. Hope you'll join us here next Saturday on News Talk 107.7 and 1400 The Hub.